Hello, viewers. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the exit polls that has come out on the Maharashtra Assembly Elections 2024. As you guys know that today, November 20th, was the election day, and the polling has been completed, and there are several exit polls that has come out in the last 5-6 hours. And it looks as though, based on most of the polls, that the NDA, also known as Maha Yuti Alliance, is slightly ahead in the state of Maharashtra. And then the MVA is slightly behind the Maha Yuti Alliance. And there are some 10 or 8 to 10 independents who are also likely to win. So in terms of the seats, it looks as though that based on the average poll of polls, it looks like the Maha Yuti will get anywhere between 140 and 160 seats, and the Maha Vikas Aghadi, also known as India Alliance, will get anywhere between 115 and 135 seats. That is where most of the pollsters have come out. I just want to caution anyway that the exit polls in the last 6-8 months have not been that good. Their track record is not that great. Both in the Lok Sabha elections as well as in the assembly elections in Haryana, the exit polls turned out to be completely wrong. So given that, I still feel that this time it looks as though the exit poll is reflecting mostly what's happening on the ground. And I do believe that the Maha Yuti Alliance is slightly ahead of Maha Vikas Aghadi. But in the state of Maharashtra, most of these seats are going to be decided with a very few margin, and especially with the fact that there are a lot of rebels and a lot of independents. I do feel like this will be slightly closer, and either party cannot look at beyond a 15 seats margin in terms of their victory. So even if Maha Yuti wins, I believe that they will probably have 15 to 18 seats margin from the 145 they require to get to the majority. So they will finish at probably 160, 162 if they win. And if the Maha Vikas Aghadi does defy the polls and they win, and they will be more close to around 155, 160, not beyond that. So that's what I think. But talking about the exit polls and the pollsters, you also need to look at there are two reliable pollsters who have decided not to call their numbers as of now. They wanted to take another 12 to 14 hours or so to digest the numbers, and then only they are going to come up with their projections in terms of exit polls. The reason I am mentioning that is those two are the one of the two most reliable pollsters in these kind of elections. But those two, more specifically, have gotten both the Lok Sabha elections wrong as well as the Haryana Assembly elections wrong. So it looks as though that those two agencies are reluctant to release their numbers just after the polling closed at around 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, I believe. But they are going to look at those numbers and they're going to come back with their seat projections in the another 10, 12 hours, I believe. So exit polls, why do these exit polls do not get most of these things right? And one of the major things is there are only very few pollsters who really give you the internals on their exit polls. Like I mentioned, the two reliable ones, they provide the internals of their exit polls. So we can look at their polls and we can come to our own conclusion. You can look at their voting percentages. We can also look at the demographics data. You can look at what is their voter composition model, how many women candidates that they really interviewed, and how many men did they interview based on the gender, what is the composition, how did they extrapolate their numbers. So unless you have the internals, you will not be able to really figure out whether these seat projections are right. Most of the people can get the voting percentages right, but they will falter in the seats that each party will get. And in Maharashtra, it's going to be even more difficult because of the fact that there are a lot of independents, there are a lot of rebels, and then there are a lot of smaller parties. That being said, while we wait for the other two reliable pollsters to come up with their numbers in terms of exit poll, we can come to a fairly reasonable conclusion that at this point of time, it looks like Maha Yuti is slightly ahead. And Maha Vikas Aghadi has to do very well on some of those close seats to really win this election. So let's wait and watch. The results are going to come out on November 23rd. So we can wait for the results to come out on that day. So that said, let's assume that that the Maha Yuti does very well and they do win these elections. Now we have to look at what next. And there are four parties who really are trying to do whatever best they can to become relevant and to become a force in the Maharashtra politics. Those four parties are the two Shiv Sena, the one led by the Shiv Sena led by Eknath Shinde, and then the Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray, and then the two NCPs, the one led by Ajit Pawar, who has the original NCP symbol and the party as well, and then the NCP Sharad Pawar. The reason I'm saying that these four parties, it's very important for them is because of the fact that if, for instance, if Shinde does much better than Uddhav Thackeray, then the lot of the people from the Uddhav Thackeray side, they are most likely to switch to the Shinde side, because if Shinde does very well and Maha Yuti wins the election, all these people will go towards the Shinde side, and it will be very difficult for Uddhav Thackeray to keep his flock together. And also it is going to be very difficult for him to go back to the BJP alliance. So in this scenario, if Eknath Shinde does very well, Uddhav Thackeray is going to be in serious trouble in terms of keeping his party members as well as running the party. And the reason why I'm saying about if Eknath Shinde does well, based on what we see on the ground, and there are some anecdotal evidence to support this, a lot of people are saying Eknath Shinde has really matured as a chief minister, and he is definitely in a much better shape today. And a lot of them are saying that he is going to really do well in this election. So it looks as though at this point, Eknath Shinde is going to do well, and that does not bode well for Uddhav Thackeray. And Uddhav Thackeray is really going to, if this holds true on Saturday, Uddhav Thackeray needs to look at where he goes in terms of his future. Then you look at the NCP. NCP Sharad Pawar is also fighting a battle to make sure that he becomes relevant, and he can also make sure that his daughter Supriya Sule is able to become the leader of the NCP Sharad Pawar. So if he does well, then he will be able to actually lure some people from the NCP that's led by Ajit Pawar right now, and he will be able to consolidate the NCP Sharad Pawar party. However, if he does not do well, then there are a lot of NCP Sharad Pawar party members who are most likely to switch to Ajit Pawar. And let's finally come to Ajit Pawar. Before this election, everybody thought that he was the weakest link in the Maha Yuti Alliance. We do not know whether that is true now. We have to wait till Saturday when the results come out to see how many seats he's going to win. If he is going to win substantial number of seats, that is going to decide the alliance numbers for Maha Yuti. Let's say that Maha Yuti wins 160, they need 145. Let's say Ajit Pawar has 25. Then I think he will be in a better position to negotiate and a better position to be in a good spot. The reason I'm saying that is, even during this election, the BJP grassroots workers did not like the idea of having NCP led by Ajit Pawar in their alliance. They really did not want him, and they were okay with Eknath Shinde in the alliance, but they did not like Ajit Pawar. So for Ajit Pawar to have a future in the Maharashtra politics, it is imperative that he gets at least 25 seats this time. Let's wait and watch whether he does get those 25 seats. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble. He might be inclined to go back to his uncle. So out of these four parties, I think the weakest is probably Ajit Pawar. And let's wait and watch exactly how many seats does he win. And one more thing, final thing before I go is most of the people on the ground are saying that the cash scheme to give 1,500 rupees for the woman in the state of Maharashtra has really worked in the favor of Maha Yuti Alliance. And more specifically, most of them attribute that to Eknath Shinde. That is one of the reasons a lot of people on the ground say that Eknath Shinde is doing very well, and he most likely might surprise everyone. And maybe the Maha Yuti Alliance will be forced to look at him as the CM face, because before the elections, before these elections, everybody was saying that once the Maha Yuti comes to power, BJP is going to take the CM seat and they will force Eknath Shinde to take a deputy CM spot. But it looks as though that he is a big winner in this election, and it might be difficult for the BJP to get rid of him as a CM and offer him only the deputy CM, and basically anoint or choose Devendra Fadnavis as the CM for after this election is over. So I think it looks like Eknath Shinde, if all this is true, Eknath Shinde is going to be in a very good position. He can bargain a lot, and most likely he can even keep his CM post. That's what I think. We still have 3 more days for counting. And also, on the other hand, as I mentioned before, we are still looking for some numbers from the 2 reliable pollsters, and let's see what they say. But my opinion, I still go with my original data analysis. There are 72 seats that I have identified that were decided within the 10,000 votes margin in 2019. I strongly believe that whoever wins around 42 to 45 of those seats are going to win the election. Even 40 out of the 72, they are going to win the election this time in Maharashtra. The reason I am saying that is those 72 seats are a true representative sample of the entire state. Those seats are coming from different regions, all the regions. And if the Maha Yuti Alliance wins around 40 to 45 seats out of the 72, then they will definitely form the government. If on the other hand, if Maha Vikas Aghadi gets around 40 to 45 seats among those 72, they will form the government. So finally, I'd like to say that whoever wins those 40 to 45, they will form the government. It is a sufficient condition, but not a necessary condition. And that is sufficient to form the government, but Maha Yuti can win less number of seats than 42 and still among the 72 and still can get power by doing very well in other places. But if we win 40 to 45 among the 72, that is sufficient for them, for any of these alliances to form the government. I'll still stick by that analysis, and I will come back to you after the results are announced. I will come back to you with the list of those 72 and inform you exactly how the voters voted on those 72 constituencies. So that's it for me today. I'll come back to you with a different program tomorrow. Till then, take care.